What the fuck in another sequel? She's amazing. Are you practicing for the quiet place speaking feline language? Honestly, if you've spent like 5 minutes on the internet, you've probably heard a chaotic soundtrack exactly like that one, playing over some hilarious cat fail compilation. Well, welcome to This Explainer, where we are going to completely unpack the anatomy behind this massive viral phenomenon. And we're not just here to laugh at them either. We're actually taking a real structured deep dive into the underlying biology of why cats do these utterly ridiculous things, and the actual psychology behind why we just can't stop watching them. All right, Section 1, the Internet Cat Phenomena. You guys, the hard data behind our collective obsession here is just staggering. Based on a massive 2015 academic study, by 2014, there were already over 2 million cat videos posted on YouTube alone. And those videos, they racked up nearly 26 billion total views. 26 billion! That averages out to about 12,000 views per video, which, fun fact, actually gave cat videos more views per video than literally any other category of YouTube content at the time. I mean, the phenomenon is so huge, we actually have dedicated in-person internet cat festivals in cities like Minneapolis, Chicago, and LA. We basically turned everyday household tabbies into absolute global celebrities. Okay, let's move right into Section 2, the science of the fail. So let's start with the classic, right? The zoomies. You know the exact videos I'm talking about. A cat is just sitting there peacefully, and then boom, suddenly it's sprinting off the walls like it's being chased by an invisible ghost. Well, the really cool thing is that this is a totally documented scientific behavior called FRAPs, or frenetic random activity periods. Because cats are most active at dusk and dawn, these sudden, crazy bursts of energy naturally happen around those times, or, right after grooming, or even after using the litter box. It looks absolutely chaotic to us, but really, they're just letting out some pent-up energy. It's completely 100% natural. Right, so another viral staple is what I like to call the glass door splat. That's when a cat just sprints headfirst into a newly cleaned glass door and just bounces right off. It's funny, sure, but it actually brilliantly illustrates how a cat's biology is different from ours. See, cats have fewer retinal cones in their eyes than humans do, and they're actually red-green colorblind. So even though they can technically see through glass, they really struggle to perceive the light reflections bouncing off of it. To them, that glass doorway literally just looks like a wide-open path. Which brings us to what is probably one of the most bizarre and highly searched trends in the entire history of cat fails. We've all seen the clips where someone sneaks a vegetable behind their snacking cat, and the cat just launches into the stratosphere. So, what's the deal? Why on earth are cats so terrified of cucumbers? Well, it turns out the answer lies super deep in their evolutionary hardwiring. Experts actually theorize this is an ancient primal response. Think about it. Cats are solitary, highly observant little predators, so their fight or flight instincts are pretty much always on high alert. When a sleek, green object just magically appears behind them out of thin air, their brain definitely doesn't process, oh hey, a salad. No, it immediately signals sneak. It triggers this massive surprise attack panic mode, which causes them to just bolt in sheer terror. Let's transition over to Section 3, the psychology of viewing. Now, you might be thinking that watching cat videos is just, some mindless distraction. Actually, scratch that. Academics take this stuff surprisingly seriously. Researchers from Indiana University even published a legit study in the journal Computers and Human Behavior to investigate this exact phenomenon. They use something called mood management theory. Essentially, this theory suggests that we are subconsciously driven to consume media that either gets rid of our negative feelings or boosts our positive ones. It's literally a form of emotion regulation. And the data backing this up is absolutely fascinating. When they looked at people's emotional states before and after watching online cat content, the respondents reported significantly lower levels of negative emotions. Stuff like anxiety and annoyance just dropped. And at the exact same time, their positive emotions, like feeling happy or hopeful, shot right up. So the data literally proves it. Watching internet cats isn't just a waste of time. It acts as this rapid, low-cost intervention that genuinely improves our emotional well-being. Moving on to Section 4, procrastination and guilty pleasures. All right, we gotta address the elephant in the room here. Procrastination. Voluntarily putting off what you're supposed to be doing even though you know you're gonna be worse off later because of it. When we watch cat videos at work or when we should be studying, it's actually a documented form of cyberslacking. And as you can probably guess, the research shows that using the internet to avoid work is heavily linked to feelings of guilt. So, how in the world do we balance that heavy guilt with the sheer joy of watching the video? Well, the psychology of a guilty pleasure is mapped out really well right here. You can see that procrastination leads directly to that post-viewing guilt, which logically you'd think would totally ruin the fun, right? But here's the crazy part. The sheer positive emotional benefit, that massive spike in post-viewing happiness, actually acts as a moderator. The absolute joy of watching a cat get the zoomies or hilariously fail a jump is so incredibly potent that it totally offsets the negative impact of the guilt. We feel bad about putting off our work, but we're just so happy watching the cat that we enjoy the whole thing anyway. Now, before we wrap things up today, it's important to faithfully report a perspective from the source material regarding the real-world impact of these trends. While a lot of these fails are just natural accidents or harmless zoomies, manufactured trends like intentionally sneaking up on a cat with a cucumber deliberately trigger the animal's deep-seated fight-or-flight response. The sources point out that this actually causes genuine stress and anxiety for the pet. So ultimately, it's strongly suggested that we keep those cucumbers in the salad bowl rather than using them to purposefully terrify an animal just for some internet views. Let's keep them happy and healthy. So the next time you find yourself 3 hours deep in a rabbit hole of feline fails, you'll know exactly what's going on. You're watching natural feline biology clash with a modern environment, all while your own brain expertly regulates your mood and offsets your procrastination guilt with pure, unadulterated happiness. But it does leave us with one final, kind of provocative thought to ponder. Does the measurable, scientific joy of the internet cat actually justify our collective cyberstalking, or are we all just perfectly happily trapped in an endless digital loop of furry distractions? Keep learning, stay focused, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.